All right, we are live. Facebook group, not so yet. Almost live. Okay, looks like we're live there. Let's go live on IG. Yeah, all right, there we go. So let's go live on IG. Then let's go live on TikTok. Hold on there, folks. We're coming. We're coming. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I've got a nice Q&A session for you right now. Hold the horn. Okay. All right. Looks like we are live now. All right. So we're going live today for our weekly Thursday Q&A. Evan said on YouTube, just signed up for your NEPQ 2.0 Advanced last night. This is life-changing. Thanks, Jeremy. You're welcome, Evan. 2.0, we have a program called Advanced NEPQ 3.0 that's far more advanced than 2.0, but 2.0 is a great place to start for sure. All right, so we're going live for our weekly Q&A. This is where you can ask me any question on sales or selling. So I'm going live here on StreamYard here on my desktop. So we're going live here in the Facebook group Sales Revolution. Got about 38,000 of you in there. The Facebook business page, about 90,000 of you, 100,000 there. YouTube, LinkedIn, and my personal Facebook. Also going live here on Instagram. We got about, how many followers do you have on IG now? 226,000 followers or something there. You know, I was never on IG. I got my first IG account a year and a month. Yeah, about a year and 3 weeks ago. That bad boy has grown fast, right? And we're going live here on TikTok. We love you guys here on TikTok too. All right. Now, here's what I want you to do. When you ask a question, help me help you. So tell me what industry you're in. I sell cybersecurity, and my question is this. I sell life insurance, and my question is this. I sell water softeners, and my question is this. I sell cars, and my question is this. I sell medical device, and my question is this. I sell SaaS, and my question is this. If you ask me a question without me knowing what industry you're in, I'm just going to have to generalize the answer because I don't know the specifics. I don't know where you're coming from. If you do inbound leads, outbound leads, cold calls. So be very specific in the questions you ask. All right. And we're going to ask those. I've got about 40 minutes here I'm going to spend with you. Now, if you're brand new to our Facebook group or IG, you just started following me there, or YouTube or TikTok or LinkedIn possibly. My name's Jeremy Miner. I'm the chairman and founder of Seventh Level. We're an organization that trains people exactly like you, sales professionals like you, sales people like you, sales leaders, executives like you, sales management like you, entrepreneurs, coaches, business owners like you. We train you and your teams how to really, I would say, transform the way you sell by learning specific skilled questions and techniques that actually work with human behavior rather than work against it. You know what I mean when I say that? It's very specific, all right? That's called NEPQ. It stands for Neuro-Emotional Persuasion Questioning. Now, we have to teach you the right tonality, because if you sound like a scripted robot, your prospects are going to emotionally shut down or go into fight or flight mode as well. It's not just the questions, it's how you ask them and when and where you ask them in that conversation, all right? Now, if you want to acquire the same skills like thousands of our clients are doing day in and day out that are in the same exact industry as you, watching me here in this boring navy blue shirt today, message me directly right now. Okay, if you want to start making your first 10 grand a month in commissions in your industry, or 15 grand a month in your industry, 20 grand a month in your industry, 25, 30 grand every month, 40 or 50 grand every single month in your industry, message me directly right now. So if you're in LinkedIn, Facebook group, Facebook, message me directly right now. If you're on TikTok, IG, message me directly right now. If you're on YouTube, just post hashtag NEPQ. Now, I want each of you real quick to go to your phones. And if you're on the live, I want you to post hashtag live. So if you're on the live, go down to the comments. I better see hundreds of these. Post hashtag live. And if you're on the replay, post hashtag replay. I also want you to smash the heart button, and I want you to smash the like button. Smash the heart button, smash the like button. Otherwise, I'm just not going to answer your questions. I still love you, though. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's start here. I'm going to start here in the Facebook group and YouTube. I noticed some really good questions there. Then I'm going to come over to IG. I'm also going to come over to TikTok as well. Okay, so let's take a look and see. Holy crap, we get about 30 just on freaking Facebook group. Digital Omesh. I want to ask, how can I do cold DMs to book appointments consistently coaching business? Okay, you gotta be more specific in that question. I love your question. It's valid. It's too generalized for me to sit here and answer that in 2 minutes. That's like an hour training. Hey, Jeremy, on YouTube. I sell for my SEO business. We specialize in local service-based businesses. Where would you start in getting leads? I'm not really a person for leads. I mean, we don't teach people how to do marketing. Now, if you want to set yourself up as an expert or a trusted authority, you want to start doing reels and post every day. Between our training posts and reels that we do on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, we do on average 180 of those every single month on each platform. Okay. And that's why we have a lot of followers that started following us around when we started doing them a year ago. I literally went from 0 followers on IG because I never had an account until October of last year to 227,000 followers in a year from doing those reels like that. Okay. So if you want leads, that's a good place to start. Okay. Hey, Jeremy, this is from a Facebook user. It doesn't say your name. I'm not sure why, but it says, hey, Jeremy, at what point in your selling career did you start the beginnings of NEPQ? How to start? So it started my first year when I was in sales. I got my first job selling home security systems, door-to-door, selling alarm systems like home automation. This would have been in the summer of 2001. Has it been that long? Gosh, I'm like 100 years old. And so, company gave me a script. Here's some books from the old gurus. Go make some sales. I quickly found out it didn't work that well. At the same time, I was in college, and my what I was studying was behavioral science and human psychology. So I started taking what my professors were teaching me, and I started taking advanced courses from like Daniel Pink. If you ever read his book, To Sell Is Human. I started taking advanced courses from like Robert Cialdini. If you've ever heard of like Persuasion, I started taking their courses. They were professors. They're really, how would I describe it? They're more like sociology professors / psychology professors. And I started taking the theory of why people make decisions to go left or right or up or down or yes or no. And I was like, how do I bring that theory, that behavioral science theory, into my sales process? Okay. And that's what I started doing. So I started learning how to use techniques that work with human behavior, that trigger prospects to pull me in, to want to open up, to want to engage. And selling became very, very easy for me. All right. That's why, in the first 6 weeks, I sucked, hardly didn't make any money. And then over that next year, I became the #1 salesperson in that company. Within 2 years, I was the #1 salesperson in the entire industry. You're talking tens of thousands of reps that sold that. And I got out of that. I was almost making 80 grand a month as like a 23-year-old college kid going door to door. Then I got into B2B sales, started making almost, I think my second year in B2B sales, I made like 1.3 million in commissions, then 2 million, then 2.5, then 3, then got into another B2C job, made about $2.5 million a year in commissions, and got into B2B again, was almost making $3 million a year in commissions. But NEPQ, the beginning of it started that first year. Now, each year I developed more of it. So the version that you have now, if you're one of our clients, the version that you have now in NEPQ 3.0 and Advanced Inner Circle, that's what NEPQ is today. Now, I want to warn you something. NEPQ will always evolve. It will never stay the same. I'm not a person that just sticks with something like 100%, because there will always be improvements. All right. So there will always be new things that I continually learn, because we train 158 different industries. We pretty much, Forbes says we train every industry at this point on the planet except underwater basket weaving. We've not jumped into that yet. We're trying to have some connections. So NEPQ will always evolve. The foundation will always be there that you're learning, and all the skills you're learning, but it will always get better because I continually learn. I'm not a person that stops learning, because if I stop learning, I can't train you as well. Okay. So it'll always evolve. Okay, let's go. Luke Wood from YouTube. Hey, Jeremy, I sell life insurance. We train thousands in that industry. I need to talk with my parents first. Okay. Well, first of all, why do you think you got that objection? That's a downstream question. Like, is it a couple that's in their 30s? Are they 18? I would like to know a little bit more details, because that would affect the answer to that. Let's say that you're talking to a 35-year-old male and female that are looking for insurance for their family, and they gave you that objection. That's usually a downstream issue because you didn't build enough gap. You don't know how to take them from where they are compared to where they want to be, where they see how bad their problems really are if they don't do anything about getting these policies. So that's a downstream issue that you should never get that objection. But let's say you still get it. I would just say, yeah, that's not a problem. How do you feel like your parents would feel themselves if you guys get the coverage, the financial protection for Cindy and the kids? So when you do pass away, they're financially protected. Like, what would your parents want you to do? Okay, that's easy, right? So how do you, like, what? So if like, oh, I need to talk with my parents. Yeah, you could talk to your parents. I mean, how would they feel if you're able to get them this type of coverage when something happens to you? Cindy and the kids are financially protected. Like, what would they want you to do? Because what would happen if you don't have that in place? Something happens to you years before you thought it would, and then Cindy's forced to get a second job. Like, what would your parents think at that point? So it's just a how-to question. It's a consequence question. But if you're in our virtual training courses, we teach you a lot more than that, because that's kind of a long. That's really like I need to know more details about what you said that triggered them to say that. Because typically, if you get that type of objection in your industry, it's because you've triggered uncertainty in their mind that they even need a policy or coverage in the first place. And that's a downstream issue because you didn't build a gap in their mind. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. Message me you can't message me directly, but post hashtag NEPQ if you want details on our training for your industry. We literally train thousands in your industry as well. Out of the 158 industries we train, your industry is in the top 5. Okay. All right. Let's see. How do I recommend, this is on LinkedIn, Scott, and then I'm going to go back and forth between IG and TikTok. How do you recommend I use the Black Book of Questions in life insurance? I'm an NEPQ 3.0, just finished the transition and presentation stage. You need to really ask the sales trainers on the weekly training calls that you're on, because quite literally we train thousands in your industry, Scott. I know hundreds personally myself that have been in like NEPQ 3.0 and advanced inner circle that make 30 grand a month, 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month in insurance. So when they started, we're making like 5 grand a month. Okay. Just so you're aware. So it's very easy. Insurance, you're asking connecting questions. So are they booking on your calendar, or are they like an outbound lead? Okay. So that's a little bit different. So, what are the connecting questions you're asking them? See, I don't know what connecting questions you've written down, but we teach you how to do all that. Now, if you want like these scripts, because we have scripts for your industry, that's in our advanced inner circle program where we teach you how to script that out and tie NEPQ into your specific industry. Get back with the person that got you in a 3.0 if you want details about advanced inner circle, because all those scripts for your industry and every industry, because we've written out them all, okay, for all our clients, are all back there for our inner circle clients. But to answer your question, how do you use it? It's the same thing, connecting questions. So let's say if it's an inbound lead, okay, that books on your calendar. Okay, John, hey, all right, let's see, you're looking at your notes. Okay, can you hear me? Let's say they're on Zoom, because I know a lot of times you guys are on Zoom with them, or you do outbound. I don't know if you do outbound or inbound, so I'm just guessing here, brother. All right, so let's say you do inbound. They get on the calendar, look down your notes. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, so all right, so welcome to the call, Wes. It looks like you'd booked on the calendar about looking at possible financial protection for like the mortgage and the family when something does happen to you, right? And they're like, yeah, right. Okay, yeah, and the first part of this call, it's pretty basic. It's really more for us to find out, what you might be eligible for, and then kind of, what you have in place now, like when something does happen to you, compared to what you might, feel like you need for the family as far as financial protection. So we can kind of see what that gap looks like to see if we can help. And then towards the end of the call, if you'd like, I can show you some different options we have for our clients. And if you feel that it might be what you're looking for, we can talk about possible next steps. Would that help you? Yeah, that would help me. Notice how I neutralize that. If you feel like it might be what you're looking for, we can talk about possible next steps. Now, why do I want to be more neutral in the beginning? Because there's no trust, there's no credibility in the first 30 seconds to a minute you have with a prospect. You can't just go in for the kill and like, oh, at the end of the call, I'm going to show you the options and I'll show you how to sign up. That's going to trigger sales resistance with most of your prospects. So as you get further in the conversation, you build more trust, more credibility, then we can be a bit more assumptive, okay? A little bit more assertive and assumptive, if that makes sense. But that's all back there, just so you're aware. Just ask the trainers in 3.0, okay, some industry-specific questions for life insurance. But when you want industry-specific training, that's in more advanced inner circle, because we teach you how to tie an NEPQ to your specific industry on those group training calls. Me and about 3 other trainers do that. We specialize in that, just so you're aware. Okay, let's go over to IG, and I'm going to come over to some TikTok questions. I think we have about 300 questions between everything here. Way to be consistent with everything. I love your content. Hey, thanks very much. You're very nice. Man, great content. What's your process on follow-up after you've already made contact? Okay, I don't know what industry you're in. What was your process on follow-up after you've already made contact? You're going to have to give me more context around that. I don't like, does that mean like you had an inbound call and you didn't schedule the next call? Does that mean that you had a first call discovery from an outbound lead and then for some reason you didn't schedule the next one? I need to know more details. Do you do 1 call close, 2 call close, or are you in B2B where it's more of a complex sound environment? I'd love to answer your question. I need to know more context. Okay. Invest with Denny. How long did it take from your first call to your first deal? Well, the first 6 weeks when I got into sales, when I was a 21, 22-year-old kid, just so you're aware, I just used like what everybody else used. They just gave me a script. I didn't know what I was doing. They gave me a couple books that said, be really excited. And the prospect's going to be excited. And I don't think I made a sale for like the first 3 weeks because I didn't know what I was doing. I was triggering sales resistance really bad. And so when I kind of really finally started throwing away what the gurus are saying and started, behavioral science from college and human psychology into my sales process, that's when I went from like 0 to hero. That sounds weird. Very, very quickly. Suddenly became very profitable for sure. So if I'd had those right tips from day number 1, I would have been successful day number 1. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? You're the man. What can you give me as advice dealing with customers as a web design freelancer? Well, first of all, Adam, you have to build a gap. So your prospects obviously have problems, right? Because if they've requested information, maybe they saw one of your ads on Facebook or YouTube or IG, and they put in their name and phone number for you to call them back, or they booked on your calendar. That means what? That means obviously they have some type of problem. Now, one thing you have to realize, your prospects, for the most part, don't really know what their real problems are when you first start talking to them. Let's just be clear on that. Okay. If you only sell to the needs of, if you get on with them like, hey, I need this and I need that, how much is it going to be? And you tell them, you're just shortchanging yourself and them, because you could have probably sold them much higher package or whatever you sell, with web design as a freelancer, had you pulled out more problems they didn't know they had. Okay. Because maybe they don't understand what the real problems. Maybe they know they have a problem, but they don't really know how bad the problem is. Or maybe they don't understand the consequences of what happens if they don't do anything about solving the problem. Now, once you learn NEPQ, neuro emotional persuasion questioning, the good part for you is not only are you able to help them find one problem or one reason why they need to change, but you're able to help them see that maybe they have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 other problems. And when you're able to help get that out of the prospect not by telling them, because that goes in one ear out the other, but by the questions you ask them that trigger them to start telling themselves what the real problems are, that's when they start to build a gap from where they are, call that their current state, current situation, compared to where they want to be. We call that their objective state. What is their future going to look like once all these newfound problems are found from your skilled questioning? Okay. So that would be my advice. You'd want to learn how to disarm the prospect from the moment they answer that call, or you see them on Zoom, or you see them in person. Say, I don't know how your sales process works. It's hard. If I'd bring you out here, I know, but we don't have time. So once you build that gap, selling becomes very easy. You have way less objections and you make way more sales. Okay. If you don't know how to build the gap, well, you get crushed. You don't sell a lot. And even the ones you sell are like, they negotiate you down. It's cheap. You don't make that much money and you work a lot of hours. You don't want to be like that. We train a ton of your people in your industry as well that make a ton of money with what you do. So that would be my advice. Message me directly right now if you want more details on our training programs, like for what you do. If you want to start making a lot of sales, just message me directly. Okay. Cars. Let me think about it. Okay, Daniel. Okay. So anytime a prospect says, let me think about it, means what? It means you've triggered uncertainty in their brain and they have an objection that they're not telling you, because the I want to think it over, that's not a real objection, right? Nobody sits there for 3 weeks. Let me think it over about this car. I'm thinking, the black one, the red one. Nobody sits there and thinks about it for weeks on end. That's just them trying to get rid of you or be nice to you where you think you have a shot when you don't, okay? And they've got some type of an objection that they're not willing to tell you because they don't trust you. And the reason why a prospect does not trust a salesperson is because that salesperson triggered sales resistance by what they were saying and or not asking. Now, that's not your fault. You were forced, especially in your industry. We train thousands in your industry as well, okay? Especially in your industry, the training that you are forced to learn is like old school. It's like dinosaur ages of selling. Like it does not work. That's why car salespeople have a stigma of being pushy, sleazy people because of the way they've been taught and forced to learn how to sell, okay? That's why car salespeople, for the most part, there's high attrition. They don't make a ton of money. We have car salespeople that make 5, 6, 700,000 a year in commissions. That when they came to us, were making 50 grand and working like 7 days, like 6, 7 days a week, insane hours. Here in Scottsdale too, they work 7 days a week on the car dealership to make 70 grand a year. That's not very fun and exciting. So if they say, I want to think it up, so just so you're aware, you can eliminate that objection most of the time by just building the gap, right? Because obviously there's a reason why they walked in. But let's say that you still can't do that because you haven't learned NEPQ yet, okay? So they say, I want to think it over. You just agree. Yeah, that's not a problem. What's your time frame on getting back to me in the next day or two just to see if I'd be available for you? Now, why wouldn't I want to try to overcome that or find out their concern first? Because my first goal, let me write this here for you. I want you guys to see this. Hopefully you can see. No, you're going to see that backwards. Hey, Blake, can you help me? I'm going to write some stuff on the board. Blake? Well, I was going to write some stuff on the board, but you'll have to just write this down. I don't have time to get. Oh, how do I, they want to, I'm going to write something on the board, but they can't see it. It's like backwards. But actually you can't because I need to see what the questions are. You can't flip it around, can you? Where they can see the writing? Or maybe you can. Oh, you can. Hallelujah. What would I do without you, brother? All right. All right. So let me show you something. Everybody see that? Okay. I'll give you a little lesson. Should I put it over here? Yeah. Or over there? I don't know what's better for them. Yep. TikTok. Yep. Okay. So I'll give you a little lesson on the think it over. So what you want to first do is you want to follow the ABDs of selling. Okay. That's always be disarming, okay? Any salesperson has to know how to disarm the prospect. That means how do you trigger the prospect to let their guard down where they actually are open to what you're doing? If you don't know how to disarm the prospect, you're triggering sales resistance and they're emotionally shutting down, telling you they want to think it over, okay? So when a prospect says, I want to think it over, you just agree. I want to disarm them first because I know, turn that light down a little bit because there's if I can't disarm the prospect, they're never going to tell me the real objection. And if you don't know the real objection, how can you sell to them? There's just no way, okay? So what you want to do is you just agree. Yeah, that's not a problem. What's your time frame on getting back to me just to see if I'd be available for you? To see if I'd be available for you triggers what in their brain? That you're busy. You've got lots of clients. You're not just sitting around waiting for them to call. Most of the time people are like, well, I don't know. I'll just call you next week sometime. You can't take that. You know they're not going to call, right? So you're going to say, well, possibly. I'm not sure I'd randomly be available like that, like with my schedule. What I can do, though, if it helps you, Mary, is if you have your calendar handy, I can pull up mine and have you book a specific time with me. That way you don't have to chase me down and vice versa. Would that help you? And they're gonna be like, sure, right? Yeah, sure. And then you book a specific time. Now, let's say they're in the car dealership with you. Now, this is for anybody. Even if you're on Zoom and you sell insurance or cybersecurity or data services, medical device, you're in a hospital, I don't really care. You're selling door to door, it doesn't matter. Right after you book that appointment, they think you're going to leave. That's why I have them book an appointment, because they think I'm going to leave. Okay, so the pressure goes out of the room. So they're more open when I ask them this question. Now, Barry, before you guys leave, because they're leaving the dealership, right? If you were on Zoom or on the phone or selling something else that they weren't in a retail shop, you would reword this. You'd say, before I leave, But if they're in your shop or your store, you say, now, Barry, before you guys leave, and when we talk in a couple of days, what were you wanting to go over in your mind, just so I know what questions you'll have about the vehicle when we talk again on Tuesday? So instead of saying, what do you really want to think about, which is just going to trigger them to throw out more resistance, you just say, now, before you guys go, what were you wanting to go over in your mind, just so I know what questions you'll have when we talk on Tuesday? Now, most of the time, they're going to be like, well, I'm just not quite sure. It's a lot of money, and I'm not quite sure we have the budget. Quite literally, they'll tell you that. That's the real concern. Or they'll be like, well, I'm not really sure if the car would be, beneficial for me because of this. And that's the concern. Like whatever they say there, that's the real objection. That's the real objection. Now, some people, like 20%, will be like, oh, I don't know. It's just a big decision. I need some time to think about it. Oh, yeah, I totally agree. I'm just asking, what are you wanting to go over in your mind? Like what questions you have. So when we talk on Tuesday, I know how to answer your questions. Like if you really thought about it, like what questions do you have for me? And they'll tell you at that point, like if you really thought about it. Anytime somebody says, well, I'm not really sure. Well, if you really thought about it, and watch how they start to think about it. It just forces them to think about it, all right? So hopefully that answered your question for that objection. But I will tell you, the gentleman who sells cars, Daniel, message me directly right now. I mean, if you want, because that was just a little nibble I gave you, right? What would it mean to prevent most of that type of objection from even happening? That's probably what you want to learn is objection prevention, is why are your prospects saying that to you when they walked into the dealership? Another example of triggering disarmament is when they walk into like a retail shop like yours. What do most salespeople do? Hey, welcome into the dealership. How can I help you? And what do they say? Oh, we're just looking. And then it's over. You're done. What are you going to do then? So you want to prevent that objection from even happening by telling them the objection. So when they walk in, you say, hey, welcome into the dealership. Are you guys out just looking around today? Yeah. Oh, okay. And do you guys know what you're possibly looking for? And you're right into your first connecting question because you gave them the objection. They're not giving it to you. Okay. Hey, welcome to the dealership. Are you guys just out looking around today? Yeah. We're out looking around. Oh, okay. And do you know what you're looking for? Right. There you go. Hopefully that answers your question. All right. Let me answer some questions here on TikTok, you guys. You guys have been nice here waiting for me here. Let's see. Here's an interesting question. From Cindric Russell, little TikTok. How do you handle combative accusers? Well, in what context? Like, what do you sell? I don't know what you mean. Let me give you a context, but I'm just throwing mud on the wall because I don't know your industry. But let's say that you're selling something. It doesn't matter. It could be home improvement, could be cars, could be cybersecurity, medical device. It doesn't matter. Insurance doesn't matter. Real estate, it doesn't matter. And the prospect says, well, we decided to go with somebody else. You ever get that? Well, we decided to go with another vendor, or we decided to use somebody else, or we decided to buy it from somewhere else. Instead of you arguing with them, you could say, yeah, that's not a problem. Can I ask you something? You got to ask for permission. They're like, yeah, sure. What do you got? How can I communicate to you guys that you might be making the wrong decision without you getting upset at me? You know what they're going to say? Well, I wouldn't get upset with you. What do you have in mind? Let me do it again so you can write this down. Yeah, that's not a problem. Can I ask you something though? And really lower your voice. Sure, yeah. What's going on? Well, how could I communicate to you that you might be making the wrong decision without you getting angry at me? Oh no, I wouldn't get angry. Like, what do you have in mind? Watch how they do that. Okay, there's a hack there. There you go. Now that's a lot more than that is taught in a virtual training course. So I'm just giving you little nibbles on here. Hopefully that answered your question on TikTok. Let's see here. Any advice for SaaS to increase your phone call connections, interactions? Well, that's two different questions. How do you increase connections? Well, if they don't answer and you leave an effective voicemail that actually gets them curious enough to call you back is one way. But most salespeople don't know how to do that. Or most salespeople are taught, don't leave messages. Just keep calling until they answer. Well, the problem is that your salespeople are your prospects are probably hardly ever going to answer because they don't recognize the phone number. And then they start seeing the same phone number calling them all the time. And they think what? Salesperson, telemarketer, trying to sell me something, I'm never going to answer the phone. That's what goes on. That's what goes on in your mind when the same number calls you over and over all the time, right? You think it's a salesperson or a telemarketer or maybe some debt relief, person or something, like maybe you got into debt trying to collect a bill. So you never answer it, right? So you don't want to do that. You want to leave an effective voicemail, because when you leave a voicemail, people start to treat you differently. Like you're not viewed as some pesky salesperson that is, doesn't want to leave a voicemail because they don't want to give away what they're trying to sell. They have to have the prospect answer the phone so they manipulate them. So let's say that if I sold, and I don't know what type of SaaS you sell or what problems you solve, okay? But let's say they responded to some type of ad yesterday about some type of software that you have that I don't know what yours does, but let's say that it helps them, with systems, putting systems in place, some type of software that helps with their systems so they can scale the company. I'm just making stuff out of my butt right now. I need more details. You'd say something like this in the voicemail. Hey, John, it's just Jeremy Miner with XYZ Company. Looks like you had responded to an ad. Looks like it was on YouTube yesterday morning about looking at possible outside help with putting in different systems and processes in place in your company so that you could grow and scale the business. And I just had time to get back to you to see if I could help. Now, I should be available here for a little bit today. Here's my number, 555-654-4565. And like I said, I should be available a little bit today. If you don't get me, just leave a message, or you're welcome to text that number, and then I'll text you a time that I would be available to get back with you. Talk to you then. See, I'm tying in. They responded to an ad. Now, I don't know if you cold call. See, if you cold called, the message would be tweaked differently. See, I don't know what you do, but let's just say you're calling an outbound lead like that. You tie in them responding to the ad, like, hey, you asked me to call you. That's what you're not saying that, but that's what you're implying about looking at possible outside help with X and Y and Z so that you can, and you repeat back the end result, okay? When you repeat back the end result, they remember why they're even looking in the first place is for the result. Remember, you're not selling the thing. You're not selling the software. You're selling the result of what that software does in your instance, since you sell SaaS, right? That's what you're selling, the results of what that does. So that gets them thinking results-based thinking, and they're more than likely to call you back. Now, you say that calmly, low-key, and relaxed. If you're super excited and you sound, TPD people, just, psychologically, behavioral science 101, if somebody talks to you and they're super excited, that typically triggers anxiety in yourself, because a super excited person, usually the reason why they talk fast and are excited is because they're nervous and they're withholding something. That's just human behavior. So you got to be calm down and relaxed, like more matter of fact. Okay. And like I said, I should be available here for a little bit today. When you say I should be available for a little bit today, it implies what? You're busy. You got other clients. You don't need them. Okay. So that's how you lead more of an effective voicemail where people actually call you back, because there's a reason why they're calling you back. Okay. Hopefully that answered your question. Let's see. Somebody asked me here, I think this is a good one. How much time should, this is on IG, how much time should it take a sales guy to sell going into a new company? We sell electric engineering services. Well, here's the thing. When we have companies, so we have a lot of companies that come to us that we train, all their salespeople and stuff, and then they ask us, hey, what questions should we be asking people we're interviewing for sales roles? And the number one question we have companies ask is this: how much money did you personally invest in your own skills, like in learning like more advanced sales skills, so you could sell more for the company you're coming from? And if the person says, oh, well, I bought a book for $20 and, the company brought in a trainer for a weekend a couple of times, we're more than likely, unless that person is a rock star, which more than likely they're not, because they don't really invest in their sales skills, the companies we train don't hire those people. But when the salespeople they hire are the ones like, hey, I spent $2,000 on this course. I've read 12 books this year. I've attended 3 seminars myself. Company brought in a trainer, like, oh, that person's serious about their profession because they want to learn more advanced skills so they can sell more. That person's going to get the job over somebody that doesn't invest in themselves. Why would you want a salesperson that expects their prospects to purchase products from them and spend money that can't even spend money on how to learn how to sell themselves? It's just not congruent. That's a type of person that wants to get into sales a little bit so they can get into sales management, so they don't they don't have to sell because they don't know how to sell. They don't know the right skills. So they get slapped around with objections all the time and rejection, and they want to get out of sales. Okay. You want salespeople who've acquired skill sets that actually really enjoy sales because they enjoy it because they know how to do it the right way. And when you do it the right way, you make a lot of money. When you don't do it the right way, it sucks. It's really hard, right? Like if you're a neurosurgeon, if you don't know how to operate on the brain the right way, well, you're going to get fired pretty quickly because you're not going to get the patient the result. It's the same thing with the salesperson. So typically we have hundreds of people a month, let alone salespeople that have already been selling for a while, but hundreds of people come to us each month that have never even sold that want to get in sales. And the reason why they come to us is because they want to get into our virtual training programs and learn the right way to sell so that when they do get hired, lo and behold, they know what they're doing day number one. So they start selling day number one, not day number 30 or day number 60, because by that time, their boss has probably already fired them. Okay. So if you're a new person looking to get into sales, do you want to learn how to sell before you get the job or try to figure it out after you get the job? That would be like, once again, a neurosurgeon trying to become a neurosurgeon and operate on the brain and then learn how to operate on the brain after they get the job. It just doesn't make any sense. That's why you go to school and you learn the skills to be able to actually do the thing when you get the job. That's what professional salespeople do. They acquire the skills so they can land the big job, and then they sell day number one. So if you're looking for salespeople like that, let us know. We have hundreds of salespeople every month that come to us. Now, if we're already training their companies, it's a conflict of interest. We wouldn't let you hire them. But if we're not training their companies and they've come to us like looking for other opportunities, then we match the employer with the salesperson. Works out a lot. Okay. All right. Let's go to some other questions here. Let's see. Okay, I want to get some really good questions here. I think this is a good question from YouTube here. Jeremy, I am between job sales and I would love to get some tips on how to sell myself in an interview to get the job. Having trouble finding a job, though. I have a solid resume and I've been through NEPQ. Are you in NEPQ 2.0 or 3.0 Advanced Inner Circle? Because if you're in 3.0 Advanced Inner Circle, we certify you, so that will help you in your interview. Like, you put the certification that you're certified in these advanced courses. That does help you land jobs. I will tell you that. A lot of industries are now requiring their salespeople to be certified in NEPQ before they even get a job, just so you know. Okay, a lot of the big industries we train in. All right, and certain companies, we don't train obviously every company, but the companies we trained, which are a ton, are requiring their salespeople to be certified in NEPQ now, or they just don't hire them because they know the certified reps in NEPQ outsell traditional selling reps 3 to 1, 4 to 1. It's like a no-brainer. So what you want to do now, realize you're probably replacing somebody else, right, in that job. So I would probably ask, like, and you answer some questions. Now, can I ask you something, John, about the position? Just so I have a better understanding, like the person that, I might be replacing or somebody else. Could you maybe tell me a little bit about, what was it about that person that maybe didn't resonate with you guys that caused you, to get rid of that person and caused you guys to look for somebody else, just so I have a better understanding. Well, that person didn't do this and they weren't doing this and they weren't doing that. See, they start talking about the problems, and then you can start asking questions like, what are you looking for in like a new salesperson? Like, if you could envision it, what type of salesperson are you looking for, just to see if I could even fulfill that need. So just little questions like that. Those are just standard NEPQ questions for an interview. If you're in our 3.0 course or like Advanced Inner Circle, ask the sales trainers on those weekly group training calls as well. And they'll give you a better list of questions for interviews because we have all that in those programs too. Okay. Jason, I manage the dining for Marriott Hotels, great company. I connect restaurant owners with affluent diners looking for great places to dine. They don't pay unless I send them customers. How would you position it? I'm not understanding your question. I manage dining for the Marriott Hotels. I connect the restaurant owner with affluent diners. What restaurant owners, what diners looking for great places to dine? You mean like people wanting to, okay, so I don't understand. How do you manage the dining for, okay, so you bring in like diners to Marriott hotels? You're gonna have to give me a little bit more details. I'm not understanding. We train a lot of people that sell like reservations for hotels, travel plans for hotels, all that kind of stuff, and internal salespeople that do different things. I need to know more details before I just answer your question there. I sell final expense. Tim, this is a good question. I sell final expense on the phone, one call closed, one connecting question. I asked, what's got you thinking about life insurance now? I wouldn't ask that question. That's not really a connecting question. Okay. So instead, and I don't know where you're asking that, but that's definitely not a connecting question we would want you to ask. I might say, so John, help me understand, like, what are you hoping to get out of the call with us today? Just so I have a better understanding. It's a better way to word it. What were you hoping to get out of the call with us today? Just so I have a better understanding. Just a better way to word it. I wouldn't say what's got you thinking about life insurance. Well, my spouse, child, parent passed away and it was a mess. No money for the funeral. What's a good follow-up or reply to that? First of all, don't ask that question. I don't think it's very good. I would get on there and be like, okay, so it looks like now, I don't know if you call outbound leads that they just put in their name and phone number. I'm assuming you do because we train thousands in your industry as well. Most of them call outbound leads. Some do inbound, most do outbound. Hey, is this John? Yeah, John, it's just Tim Aarons with XYZ company. Looks like you had filled out a form the other day about requesting like different quotes, different options for like final expenses for like burial or something when something does happen to you, right? Okay, good. Yeah, and just I was curious, like when you saw the ad, and I don't know if they saw an ad for you or if they filled out a mail form. I'd need more details because we train companies that do both. Let's say they saw an ad. Now, I was curious, like when you went through the ad where you saw XYZ, what was it about the ad that I guess attracted your attention? Well, my parent passed away 10 years ago. It was a mess, no money for the funeral. So I'm looking, okay. And what were you like? And then I would go into a frame and I'd say, all right, so the first part of this call, it's pretty basic. It's because you downplay it. If you upplay it, they'll like, well, I'm not ready for that. But if you downplay it, they become more open. They pull you in. Well, and just so you're aware, the first part of this call, it's pretty basic. It's really because you want to take the pressure out. You want to have them let their guard down. That's where when you get them to let their guard down, they become open. If they have their guard up, they're not open. Magical, right? Now, the first part of this call, it's pretty basic. It's really more for us to find out kind of more about like what you have in place now, maybe savings or different assets, that could pay for the funeral, things like that, expenses compared to what you feel you might need. So we can see what that gap looks like to see if we can help. And then towards the end of the call, if you'd like, I can go over some different options we have for our clients like you. And if you feel that it might be what you're looking for, we can talk about possible next step. Does that help you? Nobody's going to say, nope, that's not going to help me. When I say possible, they're going to be like, yeah, sure, that's not a problem. Now, hey, and also just before I just have a few questions here. What were you hoping to get out of the call with me today? Just so I have a better understanding. Well, I'm hoping to see the different options. Oh, yeah. We'll go through all that. I mean, they're going to ask me a few different options about, a few different things about your health and age and all that to see what we could get you eligible for. And once I understand those details, I can show you all the options. Okay, good. Now I should probably start off by asking you, and then boom, I'm right into my first situation question. Okay. So Tim, if you're not one of our clients, message me directly right now. We train tons of people in your industry. I just interviewed somebody in your industry that's in our advanced inner circle program that now is making over $50,000 a month. And when they started about 8 months ago, they're making about $5,000 to $7,000 a month. Okay, massive difference in commissions once you learn how to use NEPQ. But you have to be a client to do that. These, we just give you little hors d'oeuvres, little bits and pieces. It's like 100,000 piece puzzle, and on these lives, I give you like one piece of the 100,000 piece puzzle. Like you'd have to be on lives for about 25 years with us to get everything. Just unless you want to keep losing sales for 25 years. I'm joking, but yeah, just message me directly now. Okay. Let's see. I want to get some other questions in here. I sell auto, home, and life insurance. I just purchased NEPQ 3.0 last night. Congratulations. How do you come off as a sales professional within the first 10 seconds of a phone call? It's very easy. You're going to learn how to do that once you start going through the virtual training. I mean, the NEPQ virtual training course, that's 34 hours. You're going to learn that in the first 3 or 4. Okay, very quickly. And when you're on the group training calls with our sales trainers and myself, you're going to learn that very quickly. Okay, so you come across as more of an expert or trusted authority by the tone and how calm you are when they first answer the phone. Hi, is this Jane? Oh, yeah. Hey, Jane, it's just Jeremy Miner with XYZ Insurance. Looks like you responded. Looks like you had booked on the calendar about looking at possible options for like more financial protection for the home and family when something does happen to you, right? See how calm and relaxed that is? Okay. I'm not triggering sales resistance. Now let's just say, oh no, I don't think I'm interested. Oh, yeah, not a problem. And just so you're aware, Anna, I'm not quite sure we could even help you yet. I'd have to understand a little bit more about kind of what you have in place now to cover all of your expenses and the mortgage payment compared to, what you feel you might need. So we can see what the gap looks like, just to see if we can even help. And if you feel like we can't help, we can just hang up the phone. Or if you feel like we might be able to do something, we can continue the conversation. Would you be opposed to looking at that as a possibility? Now, why wouldn't I say, would you be open? Because they want to say no. When they just said, I'm not interested right off the bat, they want to say no. That's just the way our brain works. We're trying to protect ourselves because we feel like a salesperson is trying to do something to us. So when I say, would you be opposed to looking at that as a possibility? You know what they're going to say? No, because they want to say no. No, they're not going to say, yes, I'd be opposed. They're just not. Most of them are like, no, I'm not opposed. What do you have? And you're right in that conversation. Okay, that's another technique or half you can use there. Okay. Here's a good question from Damon Bates on YouTube. Hey, Jeremy, I sell cars and I'm on a flat rate commission, $400 a car. I have about a 50% close rate. My questions are if that's a fair pay plan and what my closing percentage should be in the industry. Well, it depends on how many people you're seeing a day. Like if you're seeing 10 people and you're closing 50%, that's really good. You're making $4,000 a day, which we have salespeople in your industry that make that every freaking day after we train them. Okay. Now, if you're seeing 2 people a day, that's a problem, right? And if you're converting 50%, I'm okay with that. I think you can probably convert higher. I know certain salespeople in the car industry that we train now that convert at 60, 70%, somewhere in that range. Okay. And I'm talking about people who pass credit. I'm not just, they made the sale, but they couldn't pass credit. That doesn't count, right? But we also teach them how to do reels and stuff like that on their phones to be able to attract more of a local audience and a brand where they have more people come in. Because if you're just sitting around hoping and praying that people come in and some other salesperson doesn't snag them before you do, you're just at a disadvantage where, let's say you have 3 or 4 people a day that come in. That's great. But what if you had another 5 or 6 from your reels and people in your town, like you're targeting them with your reels in different posts where they view you as like the go-to person for cars. So that's another thing you want to learn. So message me directly if you're not in NEPQ. We can give you different training options for industry if you want to make a lot more money for sure. Okay. And if you ever want to get into a different industry, we've got lots of employers that once you're certified with us, you can get into big 6-figure jobs for sure. Okay. Because you have the skill level to do it. All right. If you're not in our Facebook group, join our Facebook group, salesrevolution.pro, and then message me directly. And somebody on my team will message you back. You can book in with one of our team members to go over options if you want, because you can't message me directly here on YouTube. Okay. Let's see. How would be another question? I'm trying to get some other questions here that are really, really good. NEPQ symmetry. Hey, Shonda, what's up? Would you be opposed to using more mortgage broker, loan officer examples in your videos? Well, we do a lot more industry-specific training in our virtual training products. So you'd probably want to be a client, especially our advanced inner circle. That's where we get industry-specific and we teach you how to tie in NEPQ to what you sell. You might get lucky and maybe I'll do a free video on YouTube about being about loan officer, stuff like that. But that's, we train, 158 different industries. So I'll do my best. But if you want to get into like our advanced inner circle, you would know how to use NEPQ for your industry the next day, just so you know. Okay, let's go here. Would NEPQ work with selling furnaces and air conditioners? Only if the prospects you talk to are human and they have problems and or emotional needs, and your solution solves those needs. I think you just answered your question. Of course it would. We train tons of people in your industry as well. We call that more home improvement industry, HVAC type of thing. We train thousands in that space. So yes, we literally train every single space. Okay, let's see. Hey, Jeremy, I do business credit in Spanish. Have you dealt with Spanish customers and how to deal with them? Yeah, we quite literally train in 39 different countries. We have clients in 39 countries: Mexico, Brazil, Chile, Spain, and we teach tons of people that speak Spanish. In fact, we're getting our products all translated in Spanish, I think the second quarter of 2023. So we're getting them all translated in Spanish and French. Okay. Those are the two biggest languages we train after English. We train other languages too. Okay, let's see. Guys, I gotta go. I am late. I apologize. I've been on here 50 minutes. Sorry I couldn't get to everybody's questions. There was probably like 100 questions on IG, 50 questions on TikTok, and in YouTube, LinkedIn, and the Facebook group. It looks like there was another 70 or 80 questions. I did my best. Okay, I digress. I need 7 Jeremy Miners. If you could teach me how to clone myself, I'll be good. All right, I'm gonna have to get a bunch of sales trainers in here and do lives all the different times. Okay, you want to start acquiring more skills? Look, if you want to start making your first 10 grand a month in commissions in your industry, I'm saying every month, not one month you're up, the next month you're down. That means you don't know how to sell with human behavior. You want to start making 15 grand a month in commissions in your industry, 20 grand a month. I'm not kidding when I say these numbers. We train thousands in your industry that make way more than that now at this point. Okay, you want to start making 25 grand a month in your industry, or 30 grand a month or more? Message me directly right now. So if you're on IG, TikTok, message me directly right now. If you're on LinkedIn, the Facebook group, my Facebook, the Facebook business page, message me directly right now. If you're on YouTube, you'll need to post hashtag NEPQ for us to even try to reach out, because we can't really do much with you on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, you're going to need to join the Facebook group. I'm going to have somebody in the company, if somebody can post the Facebook group here for everybody, just go to salesrevolution.pro, salesrevolution.pro. Okay, salesrevolution.pro. That's when you can kind of message us and get more questions directly. So just go to salesrevolution.pro, right? So if you're on IG, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, go to salesrevolution.pro. We go live in there a lot more than we do on IG or TikTok. I rarely go live on IG and TikTok, maybe once a week, sometimes twice, but we go live almost every day, I think, in the Facebook group. So we have different Q&As, different trainings. So message me directly right there, and then you're able to book in with one of our team members to go over different training options for your specific industry if you want to make the money our clients are who sell exactly what you do right now. Okay? All right, love you guys. I'll see you next week. I've got to go. I'm out of here. I got to go to my 4-year-old daughter's dance class here in a minute. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Sorry I couldn't get to all your questions. I still love you, though. All right, guys, get out of here. We will see you soon.